Welcome to Healing Your Families. This month, our theme is meeting the special needs of our family members, and I'm really excited for the guest I have today because she can help us with those reading challenges. Literacy is so important for success in life. So let me tell you about my guest. Willa Jackson was an executive secretary from Xerox Corporate Headquarters, an office manager at the Children's Defense Fund, Ohio, an Ohio State University graduate, a classroom teacher with Columbus City Schools for 21 years, and now is the owner of No Pandemic Child Left Behind tutoring services. Willa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Emmylou, for allowing me this place on your podcast, and happy International Women's Day.
And to you as well.
Thank you.
You know, you and I have talked for a while. I'm a retired school teacher and you are too. And I love, but you really delved into reading, understanding the mechanics, understanding how to support children, and you have a passion. Tell us how you became a reading specialist.
You know, if I can be candid, I had an experience. It was even a spiritual experience. In 1985, I was watching television and along came this movie, The Marva Collins Story. Well, I watched that story and it was more than just a movie. I became a part of what was going on. It's as though I was just brought into the classroom right along with the children. I listened to their enthusiasm. I could feel the energy as they raised their hands to answer all of Marva Collins' questions. And I walked with them down the street to the Chicago Stock Exchange, where she took them so that she can show them why knowing math was important. When that movie was over, I prayed and I asked Father God to give me a double anointing of what he had given Marva Collins. Then it's so funny. In the year 2000, I heard that she was having a summit in Chicago and I wanted to go. So I called the hotel and they said, "We have no more rooms." I said, "Yes, you do." He said, "No, we have no more rooms." I said, "Yes, you do." He said, "Ma'am, we don't have any more rooms." I said, "Yes, you do. Even if it's in the corner in the back under the stairwell, you've got another room." He said, "Just a moment." He came back and he said, "Okay, we've got another room."
I love that persistence. Awesome.
Exactly. But it didn't even stop there. I didn't have the money to get there. Teachers don't have any money. So that Sunday, the strangest thing happened. My pastor took up an offering. And after he took the offering, he made sure everyone had given. He says, "Now you all that need this money, come and get it. Come and get you $5 or $10 or $20. So I went down there. And I was the last one standing. And he said, "Sister Willa, how much do you need?" I said, "Sir, I need $300. A long ways past $5, $10, or $20. He said, "Is that on your vision screen?" I said, "Yes, sir, it is." I said, "I'm going to Chicago to the Marva Collins Summit, and I need the money to get there." He cocked his head to the side and he told his wife, "Write her a check for $300. And I went. And that was in the year 2000. So, and go ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember that movie and it deeply moved me too. And I remember her story, learning about her.
Yes.
She's an amazing woman.
Amazing.
Is she still with us?
No, she passed in 2015.
Okay.
But I won't ever forget her. And she's right here. She's right here. And I look to her. I look to her for help, for guidance, at least to keep my mind on what it is that I'm here to do. So she's my motivation, along with others. I have them right here in front of me. Mary McLeod Bethune and Barbara Beckwith. Barbara Beckwith Burgess. She taught me to believe in myself. So that is so necessary, to have a child, to help a child to feel affirmed enough to know that they can make it. So we've got to change their mindset. It is so critical, and I do that.
It's
I
so
do
much
that.
more than just reading skills. Like you said,
Yes.
they have to believe that they can read.
Don't we all? Tell the truth. Don't we all have to believe that we can do more than what it is that we're doing? Somebody had to inspire us. So these children, they need it more than anybody. So why would we tell a child, oh, go over there and sit down? No, take the time with that child, talk to that child, listen to that child. And I think that's something that I'm doing here with these children that is really helping, is now that I'm old, I've got time to be still and to listen. Let me give you a short story of something that happened recently. I've got a little kindergartner, and he is just bent that he's not going to work for me. It's like, you're not the boss of me. So we were working, and at least I was working. He was sitting there rocking in his chair, just sitting back rocking. I said, sweetie, let me tell you something. Miss Jackson is old. Old people don't have anything better to do than to sit here and work with children until they get it done. So now, if you want to spend the evening with me, keep not doing your work. Now, do you want to get your work done? Yes. Okay. Just sit up here and get it finished. Oh, I thought that was hilarious, but it was the truth. I'll sit there right as long as he needs me to sit there, I'm going to sit right there. And we're going to get this done, because what I start, I finish. What I start, I finish. And you can't teach it except that you make yourself an example of it.
Well, it sounds like it takes a lot of patience,
It
because
does.
you would get students who aren't motivated.
Mm-hmm. I get with them too. My first little
Are you
student.
able to help them see the benefits, what it will do for them?
Absolutely. I do a pre and a post test with all of my students, so they know where they begin. And I talk to them. We assess children and we give them all these numbers, but we never sit down and explain to them where they're lacking or where they're proficient. I do. I tell that child, because that's empowering information. Let that child know where he's doing well or where she needs to just, take it to another level. We all kinds of tests, not knowing the first letter or being able to make those sounds, because when we do some of those testings, we never let the children see what we're talking about. It's all auditory. And that's not fair, but it is what it is. So once we've done the assessment and we see that they don't know it, so what then? Show them and let them have a chance to be successful. I do that. I take that time. I'll get on the floor with them. Just the other day, I had a child way up in the ritzy part of Columbus, right? New Albany. Well, she is so nervous. She is so nervous that she writes so hard that it hurts her shoulder, and she's just a little one. So I took her a page to color, and she and I colored sitting beside each other. And, we would work on a page and I would time it. So we would work for 15 minutes. After our 15 minutes, it's like, okay, now we have to get this part of it finished, but why don't we just take 5 minutes and take a break? So like I said, I pulled out this one picture where it's got a little bunny and you color by numbers. And it was one page, 2 pictures. So I colored one side and she colored the other. And you could see that she was all tense and she was making all the signs, she was coloring real dark. And I said, just breathe deeply. You don't have to rush. Just even the talk, my tone calmed her down, where you could see that she wasn't struggling anymore. All of that matters. It matters to us as adults. It matters that much more to children. Make it happen.
I love that beautiful balance of setting goals. I love the way the pre and the post test, so they know where they are to begin with, they know what they need to work on, and they can see, and then they can celebrate their progress along the way.
Exactly.
They can see when they're going to be done, what they need to have finished. And then you inject some humor, some
Sure.
fun,
Mhm.
and just that patience, that commitment. Just, I'm here and I've got a lot more time than you do. I love that story.
And they see it's not just another worksheet.
Yeah.
This is going right along with what it is that they need to know. So they're more apt to learn what they know that they need to learn. Yes.
Well, and you've shared with me some amazing success stories of children who started out like, several grade levels below and made, and were probably very excited about the
Yeah.
progress they made.
My pride and joy moment with this one child is when he was really studying. He was working so hard with me, and it didn't come very easily because each one of my programs is a 10-week session where I do my pre and post to see how much we've grown so I'll know where to go from there. Well, in the second session, this one day on the Zoom, he jumped up, he pushed his chair back from the Zoom camera, and he started running around the living room. He says, I can read, I can read. I've never been able to do that. But that child was in the third grade. How did he get to the third grade not being able to read? That's the problem that I have with it. But I was so overjoyed that he got it. He got it.
Oh, and what that did for him and his
Oh,
self-esteem.
exactly. Exactly. I wrote down one statistic that here it is, according to the National Adult Literacy Survey, 70% of all incarcerated adults cannot even read at the fourth grade level. Now, Black people are just 13% of the population in the United States, but they make up nearly 40% of the prison inmates. Okay?
Wow.
Nearly half of the prison inmates are Black, but 70% of them cannot read past the fourth grade level.
You have
So
a mighty mission.
it is, and it's not mine. It should be our mission
Yes.
as citizens of this United States of America, because we're wasting talent. I
Yeah.
just today saw a child sit down at a piano and he was playing all these classical tunes, not looking at a note. That's a genius. What difference does it make that he's Black? Then here it is, a white kid came over there and sat right down beside him, and he was playing, and they were both playing together, and it was beautiful. Then another child came, and one child got up so that he could sit down, and they all just kept playing beautiful music.
Yeah.
I saw this one where this baby couldn't be 2 years old, just talking about learning and literature. This baby had sight words. I wish that I could have pulled it up, but I didn't know how to pull it up on the computer. So I figured, let me leave that alone. But this child was just months old, and she's sitting up there reading her sight words. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It takes all that and more. So we've got to invest in our children. And I guess that's one advantage that I have, is because my heart is big enough where I don't teach races of children. I teach children.
Yes.
I teach.
Absolutely. Now, a while ago, you mentioned how did they get to be in the third grade?
Yes,
Now, you taught elementary school, right?
I did. I started out teaching third grade at Fair Avenue Arts Impact. Oh, I got a story about that. Oh my
Okay.
God. That's when I first started teaching. And there was this one little boy in there. I don't think he could read his name if you wrote it on his paper. And every day he'd come to school and he would just take a whole sheet of paper and he would just rip it and twist it all day long. He was sitting there just as quiet, and he would just twist that paper all day long. By the end of the day, maybe even right around lunchtime, that sheet of paper, he will have turned it into a person. You could see the man's head, see his ears, see his little hand. He would have all his little 5 fingers. You could even see the thumb, his arms, elbows. That boy was a genius. He just learned differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
With us being Arts Impact, that means that the children would have to write their own script, and they would take it from whatever it was that we were learning in English or social studies. They would have to write the music. They would have to create the costumes, everything. They would have to do it and perform. That little boy was the star of the show. He's the one where the spotlight was on him. He had the entire stage. And he went out there and he walked in front of an audience that was packed. And he said, "Oh, my hotel people." I don't know what else he said, but just the fact that he was bold and brave enough to go out there and to share his story from the script.
Yeah.
He had learned it. He memorized it because he couldn't read, but he memorized it. He wanted it.
You know, I love that, appreciating that people learn differently. We don't all have to fit in the same mold.
Not at all.
But my observation, now I taught high school, so I'm not as familiar with elementary, but my understanding is whether they can do, they're just kind of moved on, even if they're just kind of moved on. And I think that was started thinking it would help children feel better about themselves.
Not at all.
But what would it be like to sit in a classroom and know that you could not read as well as your peers?
You know, I'll be 72 the first day of June. We were all reading on grade level. So what's different? To me, what's different is Marva Collins' method. They taught phonics when we were growing up, when I was growing up. I knew the sounds, so I had the ammunition in order to pull it out and be able to decipher a word. You know, I knew the prefix, the suffix, I could find the base word. I knew that. These children are passed from one grade level to another, and they don't know that. And you know, I had an example, something that I love sharing with different people is, what is the vowel sound for ET? What is the vowel sound for ET? Ladies, anybody?
Go ahead, tell us.
See, I didn't know it either.
Is that a French word? I know some words come from other languages, and then we follow, I think if it comes from a French word, it's A.
It is A, it's the long A, and I'll give you an example. Ballet.
Yeah.
Filet, gourmet, Monet, bouquet. All of those, they end with ET, the long A sound. We don't know it, and we don't teach it. So that means the kids are just left hanging. The fillet of fish, nobody even
unless they happen to pick it up by hearing people speak. But yet you're right. I that's what I loved about the Marva Collins story, is that the message of phonics.
Yes.
If we would just now, when I went to school, they were still doing sight reading. We read the Dick and Jane books where we were just memorizing words. But as I got older and started learning phonics, it's so much easier.
It is. It makes it make sense. You know, learning those sight words is.
I wanted to make sure my children learned phonics.
I totally and completely agree. Because all that memorizing, it's got to be attached to something. We know that repetition is the key to learning. So if you don't know and you're learning something, you're faced with something new and don't have anything to attach it to, you're still left without knowing it. But if we have phonics, then we know the sounds and we can attach it to a certain word, and we can just surround it with other words that make those similar sounds, and we understand it. So I am strict on phonics, definitely.
So, and you work with students in person and virtually by Zoom, right?
I do. I have children that come to the house. I've got a desk there, books all around me. I had to move books out of the way. And I've got a library downstairs and in the garage. I have it everywhere because I want these children to know that you're going to make it over here. I'm not going to let you go. Together, we're going to teach you how to learn to read and write and write.
And I think that they would catch on to that persistence when they see that you care that deeply. You're showing this matters. So have you noticed a difference? Is it easier to teach children in person or by Zoom, or is it both? I'm sure both have their pros and cons.
They do. It's always easier in person.
Okay.
It's always easier because I teach using a notebook where the children see the sound, they see words with that sound, and they are to create a sentence with one of those words. And we do that as a class, and we continue on. That way the kids are able to go back and to make the sentences, because we only maybe write one sentence together just so that they can get the gist of it. And the rest of that is homework. We may do 10 a day, and then we'll move on to read and to write. So they got to get an understanding of it so that they can move on. And this way they have homework so that they can look over it.
So it sounds like you have a very cohesive system,
I do.
a process you take them through. And with your years of experience, you've probably encountered just about every challenge.
I laugh because it's like, yeah, you're about right. Everyone I can imagine. And it's all good because it stretches me. I'm not coming with all the answers.
Yeah.
You know, the children teach me. Speaking of that, I have this, when he was 4 years old, a great nephew, he came over and I had to babysit him for a couple weeks, right? And he wanted to watch something else on television. I don't have cable, so I streamed to my television. And he didn't like what I had on. He says, "Oh, Auntie, I'd like to watch such and such." I said, "Well, sweetie, I don't know how to get that." He said, "Hand me your phone." I gave him my phone and he did something to it and another picture popped up. So it's like, okay, and he's 4 years old. But
Yeah.
see, that's their generation. They know about that. And I'm not too puffed up and full of myself where I can't learn. I'll learn from anybody,
Yeah.
anybody. And I care. So
Yeah.
when the kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh,
That's how I get
absolutely.
results. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I know some parents, their child is starting to struggle and getting a little behind, and they think, well, I'll wait, maybe they'll get it. At what point, what are some warning signs that let parents know? And just my experience from secondary level is it's exponential. They get maybe half a grade behind, and then it just compounds.
Yes.
So at what point, what are there warning signs you would say, okay, it's time to get a tutor and get them caught up to grade level?
Yes. I would say when that child is emotionally depressed, and they don't feel good about going to school, when they're falling behind in their classes, when they're complaining about everything, when they only want to watch television and they've detached themselves from what's happening in school, that's when they need a conversation and they need a tutor. They need someone that's up close and personal to get them to that next level or to get them past the hurdle of what it is that they're learning. I have a little boy who has a lisp, and nobody's going to sit down there and talk to him about it because I guess it might be embarrassing or whatever. It's like, we have to do what we have to do. So I'll have him to come close to the camera and I'll show him. We'll just make it happen. Whatever we've got to do, we do it. Why? Because if that were you, wouldn't you want someone to go that extra mile with you? Yeah,
Yes.
you would.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I'm old. Old people have time.
So anytime it starts affecting their self-esteem, or they're just getting
Absolutely.
discouraged,
Absolutely.
why
Absolutely.
let it go on? And I can tell what happens if nothing's done. By the
Oh,
time they get to high school, they've quit.
they've quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They accept this label. They will write
True.
themselves off as,
That's true.
I can't do that.
That's why affirmations are necessary. We've got to build a person up from the inside out. We can tell a child how proud we are of them. It doesn't matter until that child feels proud of himself or herself. That's right. So I read somewhere that people think 70,000 thoughts a day. If all of those thoughts are negative, or if the majority of those thoughts are positive, look at the difference it'll make in the attitude of that person. And we're talking about children. They don't have the strategies, they don't have the background that we have in order to pull ourselves out of a slump. They're stuck. And we don't want that to happen to our children. No child No child.
Now, so do you teach them affirmations?
I surely do. That's the very first page of our notebooks. We have a notebook that we keep where in the front, it's just Miss Jackson's phonics.
Uh-huh.
And the first page are strictly affirmations. And we talk about them, which affirmations work for you. They write their own. And we just have this page filled with them. And that should be enough.
Page
But
one.
definitely, that's
Wow.
right, page one, affirmations. And from
Uh-huh.
there, then we talk about our phonics.
Okay.
We get that started. And we skip lines in between it so that they can put their sentences right here. And then when they go back, they can look and add more sentences because we have at least 2 to 3 words that have that sound in them. Oh, and then we go to the back of our notebooks. And this is where we have our vocabulary and our writing pieces. So back here, we even start with, oh, we had our papers and we talk about our margins. We had it, first and last name, and we always put our date as a proper noun, always. What's going to happen when those kids hit February and not know it's Febru? I have this one video I saw where the child couldn't spell Wednesday. It's like, as bad as it may sound, and it was funny, but he was never taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never taught.
Do you get students who have not learned the sounds that the letters?
Yes, I have. Yes, I do get children who've not learned the sounds. Absolutely. And we take our time. We take our time. Oh, but even talking about this area, this is where we pull our vocabulary from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, wow.
We use big words over here. And this first word is potential. I would tell you.
That's a good word to teach them.
That's a major word, major. So all of it. I mean, page after page, perseverance. Speak what you seek until you see what you speak. Oh my goodness. We get into it. We talk about it. Oh, see, and those are writing samples. And since they're in a notebook, this way they can see their own progress.
So you're sharing things that parents could do. Parents could do affirmations, teach their children to believe in themselves.
Sure.
And I think it's powerful to read. Now, do you read with them?
We do. We have stories that we can read here at the house, but I go on archive.org. There's millions of books right there.
Archive.org.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you one more thing. Is when I'm teaching the children online, parents join us and they sit right there. True, they make sure that the children are writing, that they're doing what it is that I'm asking them to do, but the parents are learning right alongside the children. So it's a family affair.
And it needs to be.
It does. It does. And this way, the parents.
Now you have also worked with adults, right?
I sure have. Anybody who wants to learn, I'm their girl. That's what I tell them. I'm your girl. I got you. Because I want to help. I'm here to help. Again, Marva Collins, when I prayed that prayer and I asked Father God to give me a double anointing of what he had given her, then what am I going to do with it? I'm going to give it to whomsoever wants it. Whomsoever wants it. And these 70, I mean, come on, 40% of the prison inmates are Black. You know I'm going to look out for me. I look out for everybody else's children. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I'm truly looking out for my own. Because nearly half of the prison inmates are Black like me.
Yeah.
That is so wrong. And then 70% of them are there not there because they can't read, but it's been documented that 70% of them cannot read. So I'm mandated. This is not just my passion. This is my purpose. This is my purpose.
Now, have you started training other tutors?
You know, it's so funny you said that because I do have 3 others who are interested in working with me. So I want to have a summer school and I'm working towards that so that we can make that happen, so that I'll do the phonics portion of it. And then we'll have breakout sessions, breakout rooms, so that they can work with children that are at different levels. And we don't teach children because of what grade they're in. We teach them according to what area they're, not just area they're in need of, but their ability level.
Yeah, I think there are, I'm seeing my grandchildren's schools. Some of them are starting to move towards that, but it is so needed. This idea that they need to be at their ability level.
Exactly. I had a seventh grader, and I noticed that his scores were so low that I kept him in this one recess, and I wanted to just give him up close and personal assessment. And you know how you do our words list, high frequency words?
Yeah.
OR, OR, he could not say it. OR, that's a 3-year-old word.
Yeah.
And I asked him, it's like, sweetie, how did you make it to the 7th grade? And he just looked at me. And I know it's because he was quiet. He wasn't getting on anybody's nerves. So they continued to pass him on.
That's one of those students who fall through the cracks. They're not
Yes.
disrupting class.
Right.
So they're just,
Just passed on.
And I know as a high school teacher, I sat there at commencement exercises, watching students walk across the stage that I knew couldn't write a complete sentence.
Right, right. That's right. That's right. We'll see, not on my watch.
What will become of them?
They're going to go to prison.
Well, some of them I ran into later, and they managed to educate themselves, and it was okay. But you're right, it really holds them back if they can't. If you can't read, right, it limits the jobs you can get.
It does, you know, and that's the reason why the United States has more inmates, more prison inmates than any other industrialized country in the entire world, because that's our solution to this. Not on my watch.
Yep.
If your child wants to know how to read and write, I'm their girl.
Yep.
I've gotten old. I don't have anything else to do except sit over here and work with your child.
Oh, Willa, I love your passion. I love what you're doing, and it is so needed. So what's the best way for people to contact you?
My program is nopandemicchildleftbehind.com. Or you can just email me at Miss Jackson, no period, just msjackson at nopandemicchildleftbehind.com.
No pandemic child left behind.
Yes.
Now I need to ask you, how did you come up with that? Because I know that there were a lot of problems there.
There were a lot of problems, and it just broke my heart. These kids couldn't go to school. I mean, for weeks they couldn't go. They'd go a couple days, then they'd have to come home. And I know what the children were struggling with because I taught the 3rd graders. And so many of those children didn't have it in the beginning. So they were falling just further and further behind. So I started offering my services, and every year I've had students, and I want to have that many more.
Yes.
And one reason why students would leave is because they couldn't afford it. These, you know, bad as it sounds, one of my students would bring me food. She would fix plates. That's how she was making her money, is she would have dinners and she'd go and sell dinners. So she would bring me dinners as her payment. I said, fine, whatever you've got to do. I know that free is never appreciated. And I didn't want to feel any kind of ways. It's got to be a win-win situation.
Yes.
Everybody's got to have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
So, hey, we make it work, and I'll do all that I know to do it. If I can't do anything, then I'll have to admit it, but I won't ever let go. Even one child that I had to let go, I still have her in my heart, and I'm still thinking of ways that I can help so that I can get that child back and make sure that she gets what she needs, because I do care.
Yes. Well, we need a lot more of you. So,
Amen.
Willa, thank you so much for
you're very
sharing your passion, your useful tips for parents, and your commitment. Let's give everyone a fair chance. Let's make sure.
Yes.
have a feast and invite everyone to the table.
Everyone, invite them all to the table. They're children. They're just children.
Yes.
Let them grow up. Give them a chance. That's just the way I see it.
Well, thank you. And for my viewers, join me again next week. We'll be learning more about brain health and how we can help our children succeed.
Good.
So love yourself,
Yep.
love your families. Let's make the world a better place by strengthening families. And if you want to know how you can take that first step towards the family life that you desire, if there's some improvements, you just think it could be better, then go to emmalouppenrod.com/first step. Free assessment for you.
Good.
And we'll see you next week at the same time. This is Emma Lou Penrod at healingyourfamilies.com.